Hello, Assalamu alaikum. This is Ali, and you're watching another episode, another podcast of my YouTube channel named Here Goes Nothing. आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे फुटबॉल और फुटबॉल में स्पेसिफिकली इंग्लिश प्रीमियर लीग. Obviously, this week in particular has had a huge surprise with Liverpool losing to Nottingham Forest, and the other result that people probably did not expect was the result of Arsenal versus Tottenham, क्योंकि काफी depleted Arsenal team थी. तो funny enough, you're joined today by one Liverpool fan being me, जिसकी team Nottingham Forest से हारी है, and the other person being Usman Salam, aka Ozzy, who is a Tottenham fan. तो Usman was pretty confident before the game, but लगता है ऐसे कि जो जिस तरह की proceedings रही हैं इस match में, things didn't go too well for Tottenham. So without wasting any more of your time, I'm going to dive right into it. Usman, first of all, thank you so much for joining me. I know you weren't too keen on doing this because of the result on the weekend, but what do you think went wrong for Tottenham? It was a pretty good start. I would even say that Arsenal were lucky not to concede, but as the game just flew by, Arsenal kept on growing in the game. So how would you sum it up?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Usman. Thank you for having me on your podcast, first of all. Yeah, honestly, to be very honest, I think we played good as a Tottenham supporter, as a Tottenham fan, as a guy who's been supporting this club for almost over 2 decades now. I think we played pretty good. It's just we were not lucky enough, and हमारे जो आगे के front three हैं, I think they were not like kind of clicking. So we kind of gave that goal that we gave away. It was also like a mistake. And if you see the replay of that goal, uh, Romero was pushed from Gabriel. वो दूसरा जो गोली है उसको पकड़ा हुआ था पीछे से उसने. So 6 yards, within 6 yards, they just kind of attacked us within out of nowhere. And of course, Saka is a very good player. The only player I think I who genuinely deserves a lot of respect is Saka, because I feel like he's non-stop, day in day out, game in game out. He's been giving like non-stop amazing performances. और उसकी ball जो है, it's gonna come in. Everybody was looking forward for that. And the moment it came in, he already pushed our main central defender, the guy wanted by Real Madrid for more than 100 million. That guy got pushed away, and he was actually complaining while he scored the goal. So I don't know. I mean, everybody saw what happened, and it just happened in a quick blink of an eye. They scored. Uh, they scored a goal, a heading goal within 6 yards. ये तो वही है, बच्चों वाली बात है कि आपको गोली को साइड पे कर दो और सर मार दो अंदर आके, और डिफेंडर को भी साइड पे कर दो. So I don't think so that I don't really think of it as a defeat. I feel like from a bigger perspective, my team, like Tottenham Hotspur, they had more shots compared to Arsenal, of course, a shitty team. Uh, Arsenal only had 7 shots. Tottenham had 14 in comparison. Possession, we had possession throughout. If anything, I feel like Son and Johnson could have stepped up. And overall, I feel like it wasn't, to be very honest, it didn't really hurt me for the first time in a Arsenal Tottenham derby, because I feel like I saw the whole match with my family. It was my elder brother's birthday, and we were just celebrating birthday. I was hoping that my team is gonna win, so it could be a little bit, cherry on topping. But it just, it is what it is. Uh,
Yeah. Aswan, I would like to ask you, uh, okay, so Arsenal obviously did not have Harry Kane last season, and despite that, they ended up like doing a pretty good job with this being Big Ant's first season in the Premier League. I जब मैं टॉटनम के बारे में सोचता हूँ, and if I think about the Tottenham front three, right, I expect them to be a lot more dynamic. Do you see Dominic Solanke as someone who could complement the likes of Johnson, yes, Son? I think that maybe isn't that aren't you guys expecting too much of him? Obviously, he's not going to be the next Harry Kane. He's already 26, 27, so he's not going to improve much from what he already is. Why do you think Tottenham spent so much money on him? Number one, he's injury prone, right? Okay, Harry Kane was injury prone as well, but even if you would play 20 games, he would score 22 goals, right? So, what was the logic behind spending so much money on Dominic Solanke when I personally feel there were other options available in the market? Players who were better finishers than him, players who were more dynamic than him, players who had more pace than him. So, can you talk us a little bit about that? Because you did miss a pretty good chance early on.
he missed three good chances. I would say one of the very clear chances he missed in the beginning, the first half, two other chances in second half. One, he came ahead of what's his name, the other shitty defender, Saliba. Yeah, he came in front of him. He tried to hit the ball. Of course, he's not that physical. But coming back to your question, I think 60 million is a little too much for him coming from Bournemouth, especially. He was Bournemouth's main, go-to guy. So I think part of the reason is because he was actually liked by Ange Postecoglou, our manager, and he was a massive fan of Solanke. So he kind of pushed Daniel Levy, who I actually don't like as well, who is not a good, like bargainer. I would say he doesn't know who to bring in. He just wants to get the cheap product, expecting the best out of them. But yeah, coming back to the question, I think Slunky, for me, I think he was actually not a bad buy because in everybody's mind, Slunky came in to replace Harry Kane, and I don't think so anybody can replace Harry Kane at this level. I don't think so there's any forward who can replace Harry Kane. Harry Kane, that is the reason he went to Bayern Munich, and you know how almost every other game he's scoring a hat trick. So that explains itself. Other than that, I feel like Dominic Solanke had more Premier League experience, and I guess he was, as I said, he was the main guy for Bournemouth. So that those like couple of the bits and pieces he kind of like joined together. And I feel like those two games that he played last season against Tottenham when he was playing for Bournemouth, he did pretty good. He was, I think, man of the match in both of those games. And last Premier League season, he didn't get injured. So all these things keeping in mind, I feel like that kind of pushed Ange Postecoglou to just sign already like a made up forward, which is Dominic Solanke. So I feel like he's gonna come good, but it's just like he's kind of getting used to the Tottenham, infrastructure, Tottenham system. He's gonna come good. It's just I feel like Johnson needs to step up, and Son, especially Son, has probably like whatever he used to play like a couple years ago, his game right now is half of it. As you saw, what he was just passing back. Son was the guy who used to cut through like at least one defender whenever he gets the ball. He didn't cut any defender this time. So I think that probably
Yeah.
sums it up why we bought Solanke. Solanke is a good player. I think we need to give him time, and he will come good.
But okay, I guess yeah. By the end of it, like he's a former Liverpool player, and I can tell you that when he was at Liverpool, we could see a lot of potential. Right, he was young. He was about 22, 23 before we sold him to Bournemouth. But I mean,
Hmm.
the thing that I always felt about Solanke was that he could improve his finishing, and I still say that with him being 27 and no longer 21. So I mean, yeah, good luck with that because like I mean, I personally like seeing Tottenham do well. I would like to
I mean, I
ask you
have a
that. Okay,
question.
fine.
I
This
have a
is
question. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. I have a
yeah,
question
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
you.
Of course, of course.
So, if you right now in this moment, if you had an option to take within like Liverpool's system, however they play with their starting 11, would you place Darwin Nunes or would you place Dominic Solanke?
No, I would absolutely play Darwin Nunes, and I'll tell you why. Because I think the amount he can improve is just like the ceiling is way too high for Darwin Nunes. He's 23, 24, Solanke is 27. And I think with Darwin Nunes, what you get, something that you don't get with Solanke, is there's that certain burst of energy that Darwin Nunes brings to the table. I just don't see Dominic Solanke with that. But I mean, I personally want him to do well. I can assure you, I want Dominic Solanke to do well. I think he could have been given a better chance in Liverpool. But when I see Tottenham, and I'm like, you're already short on budget, right? You don't have a lot of money to spend, and I mean, you're spending 60 million on a striker who just had maybe a good season in the Premier League is something that concerns me. But that comes to my next question, and this is the last question where I grill you over Tottenham, and then I'm just going to talk about United, Chelsea, and maybe even a bit of Liverpool. But
Of
so
course.
last season, Arsenal traveled to Tottenham, right? And Arsenal were really under pressure because they were competing with Manchester City and Liverpool for the title. And it just
Hmm.
felt like Tottenham did not seize that opportunity. Like other than the first 10 to 15 minutes of flair, Arsenal were allowed to grow into the game. I think
No, I mean,
similarly this time they were under pressure as well. Arsenal had not had their two midfielders and obviously the draw against Brighton. Is that a mentality issue that Tottenham just let Arsenal slip? Because I just felt you had a pretty good chance in this game before the start.
yeah, I mean, numbers don't lie. Again, as towards the end of the game, you see the stats. Numbers don't lie. We have 14 shots, and they only had seven. We had better position. Our tackle rate was better. Our players were rated better than them. Other than Saka, of course. Again, Saka and Gabriel were outstanding. I think I gotta give credit where it's due. Arsenal's defense has improved tremendously over the last few years, especially their Mikel Arteta. In Urdu words, is called Tata. But anyways, that guy, that guy, that guy has taken Arsenal to a whole different level. I would say he's been with Arsenal. He was a player with Arsenal, so he understands the system. He understands how the dynamic work, how the chemistry between the players work. As you saw, like all the players were putting in a lot of effort. Even then, they weren't having the ball. I think one of the part of the reason is because this guy has been with Arsenal for over, like, I would say 15, 20 years now. He understands everything, and players like to play around his style of play, and they gel together very good. As far as the midfield is concerned, yeah, they're Odegaard, one of their best players, and their Declan Rice. I don't really rate him good because he's not really that good of a player. But both of those players, regular starters, were missing, and I believe if both of them were playing, to be very honest, it could have been like somewhere between 3-0 or something. Just because those two guys were missing, we had a good chance, and we didn't take that chance. I still feel like we could have won this game. To be very fair, it should have been a draw, but it's just we are unlucky. We couldn't capitalize on the chances that we were provided with. Other than that, I think Arsenal's defense once again is one of the best defenses uh, on paper. As you see how they are, like, they gel together. All of them move together in the front. Like this new guy Timber, right? He's pretty good. Their left back is pretty good. Their central defenders, of course, they're nice. So I feel like they have a nice defense. So if your team has a nice defense, that means you have a nice foundation. If you have a nice foundation,
Yeah.
that means your forwards can actually mess around, they can play around, and they can actually enjoy their game. So
I,
yeah, I
I I'm
mean,
gonna sneak in I'm gonna sneak in a quick question, Osman. So like this is a big season for Big Ange, right? Like last season, it was a pretty horrible end for Tottenham. Missed out on the Champions League, but this time people expect more of him. Number one, where do you expect Arsenal to finish, and do you think they can clinch one of the small cups like the FA Cup or League Cup? And what does Big Ange have to do minimum to keep his job at the end of the season if you think that he has a risk of getting sacked? Because I sometimes listen to his interviews and I can sense a bit of frustration he has, maybe with the supporters, maybe with the board. I don't want to dive too much into the conspiracy, but yeah, if you would like to address those two questions before we move on to other clubs.
okay. No, those are actually pretty good questions. I feel like Tottenham's first question. Tottenham's chances are very minimal, to be very honest, in finishing in top four. Even though, according to Big Ange, he said that in my second season, there's like a very high chance I'm gonna get the silverware. I don't really believe that. I feel like the way they started the season, he's not capitalizing on the new signings. We got Mickey Moore. Not He's not a new signing. We got Mickey Moore. We got Archie Gray, one of the best players from Leeds. We got Lucas Bergwall. So we gotta once you buy the players, you gotta give them a chance. And in this game, he was just utilizing their old players. Son wasn't doing much. He could have replaced him. Johnson, he just has pace. I mean, rather just buy Usain Bolt from, Uganda. I would rather have him. So, uh, other than that, I feel like Arsenal's chances are pretty. I don't know, man. I feel like Arsenal chances are not that much because of Man City. Man City is like the grandfather of father, and Arsenal is the father, and Man City is the grandfather. As you see, like
Yeah,
from now on, like
we'll
this.
talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about other clubs shortly. I just want to conclude on Tottenham. So, do you
Mhm.
think Big Ange might get sacked this season? Do you see that happening?
To be very honest, I think if it's actually, it's Premier League, it's like things happen pretty quick, and you never know who's gonna get injured. So if there's like 4 or 5 injuries, and the next 4 or 5 matches, they're not actually against big teams, but even if we draw or if we lose those 5, 6 next matches, I think he might get sacked because of the way this whole train is going. Out of 4 matches, he only won one, and where we stand right now is not a good place to be. So I personally like Big Ange. I think I think we are doing good because if you see the matches, most of the time the ball is in the opposition half. and all the players are trying. But the worst part is like they are just passing around their D. They're not actually making moves. And if I was Big Ange, I would place Hungmin's son as a CAM. I wouldn't play him on a wing because he's not that fast anymore. He doesn't like to cut. He doesn't like to dribble past defenders like he used to. So मुझे लगता है कि it's time for young people to take over. Like he should definitely play Archie Gray. He should definitely play Lucas Bargwell. He should bring in Mickey Moore and then substitute the old players like Kulusevski. Kulusevski is a winger, bro. He runs at like what? Like he runs less. He runs half the speed of a goalie. You saw how he runs, right? He's good at shooting and everything, but he doesn't know how to run. He's a good dribbler. Of course, if you're slow, you're a good dribbler. You gotta have something, right? So concluding
Yeah.
the question that you asked, I think yeah, Tottenham's big Ange, he might be in trouble depending on next 3 4 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's quickly discuss Manchester United.
Uh-huh.
A lot was said about their new playing style, and they had a pretty like rough start to the season. They were a little lucky against Fulham in the first game, in my opinion. They could have easily drawn that match because Fulham had them on the ropes a couple of times, and then those two results against Brighton and Liverpool really didn't help Ten Hag. Against Southampton, they end up winning 3-0. They were dominated in the first 30 minutes, somewhat dominated, and then obviously Onana saves a penalty, and then they go on to score three. What do you expect of Manchester United? Have you seen an improvement? Do you think that they're going to be challenging for the top four, or are you the person who feels that Ten Hag is the first manager going to get sacked? So yeah, I'll let you have a rant at Manchester United.
It's also it's a very gray zone again. It's a 50-50 zone. I don't know exactly what to say. Ten Hag has performed pretty good. He has got good stats again from coming from AX. AX has like is like uh they have one of the best foundations. They have one of the best facilities. All the good players, Ericsson, most of the Manchester United players have come from Ajax, as you see. The OG Anthony is also there. I feel I feel like Man U. To be very honest, I don't think so. They have a chance to finish in top four. They, if everything according to him goes well, I think the best they can do is Europa League, fifth, sixth maximum. But I don't see them finishing in top four because defeating newly promoted Southampton is, like of course, is like a make like showing off that you are in Premier League, and even though they got a red card, so I don't think so. That's a very big win. I mean, our local team can defeat Southampton, so so I feel like Eric Ten Hag might be might be gone if they lose next 4 to 5 games again, just like Ange Postecoglou. So these games are very risky, depending on like anything could happen. 4 or 5 games back to back defeats can change a lot. Yeah.
All right, so now let's talk quickly about Liverpool. So it was a good start for Liverpool. First three games, winning
Mm-hmm.
three games, obviously winning away to
Arne Slot.
Manchester United, and this honest lot, and then this loss at home to Nottingham Forest, who were pretty well set up to be fair, just feels like a punch in the gut. And I think no one saw it coming. And a good reality check, I guess, for Arne Slot as well in terms of the quality of the Premier League. How have you analyzed the start of Liverpool? And I mean, it's still 9 points in the first four games, having played a couple of them away. But like, just wanted to hear from you what you feel about the way Liverpool have started and your expectations as the season goes by for them.
I reckon Arne Slot is also a good manager. Of course, if he wasn't good, he wouldn't be with Liverpool. And he replaced, I think, Liverpool's best manager of all time, Jurgen Klopp. So there's a lot of expectation out of him. I know he's a good manager. I've seen him play with other teams as well. I would give him time. It's okay to lose 1, 2, 3 games. It's all good. But for Liverpool, I think Liverpool players also need to step up as well, especially their center forward, because they keep switching up their center forward. They don't know who to play. Jota, Darwin Nunes. So they gotta stick with one guy, and then of course Mo Salah is not gonna go anywhere. Mo Salah is there. He keeps providing with like excellent balls. You just gotta tap in kind of balls. So I would definitely give him more time. He's new, and he's gonna get hold of the system itself, and they're gonna come out good, pretty good. So that's just what I think about Liverpool. Did they sign any new signings
All
though,
right.
by any chance?
Now, Federico Chiesa is one that they bought in from Juve, but like he's had a injury record. But no, Liverpool haven't made much signings. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I would definitely like I'm confident with Arne Slot that we're gonna have a decent season. But let's see how it goes. I mean, that loss against Nottingham Forest was definitely damaging. But now I'm gonna come
Yeah.
over to my last question, Usman. You were about to discuss this, and then I just wanted to give you time to talk about it exclusively. टाइटल रेस मैनचेस्टर सिटी मतलब हालैंड ने तो मजाक बनाया हुआ है प्रीमियर लीग को बट
हालैंड तो वो
डू
खेल रहा
यू
है ना, फीफा खेल रहा हूँ
थिंक या फीफा लिटरली फीफा इजी मोड पे डू यू थिंक एनी टीम हैज अ चांस ऑफ बीटिंग मैनचेस्टर सिटी और ये जो भी इनका जनवरी में मोस्ट प्रोबेबली वर्डिक्ट भी आना है 115 चार्जेस का do you think that could play a role, some mental role where they drift away? And if I had to ask you your top four, right, based on like who's going to win the league, you talk about City and Arsenal. If you could tell me how what you feel about the title race and your top four, so that would be a nice way to conclude this.
So, I mean, as a Spurs fan, of course, I want to see my team in top four. So I'm gonna start off with my top four prediction right now after match four, game week four. I would say first Man City is gonna win the title. I think Arsenal is gonna
Yeah.
try hard. They're gonna come pretty close, just like last season. They're probably gonna finish somewhere in top four. Um, I would say Liverpool, and then it's gonna be a very crunch between Spurs, Chelsea, and Man U because Chelsea is actually improving. If you see the new guy, he's actually doing pretty good, and they got nice players. So, but if I had to pick one, I would say Spurs because I'm a Spurs fan. But that's just way too optimism, like too much optimism over here. So yeah, man. I mean, I feel like I don't think anybody is gonna I don't think so anybody is gonna undertake Man City because if you see Pep Guardiola, he keeps switching up players, and there's a psyche behind it because in Premier League there's a very high chance anybody can get injured any moment. So he knows, like you see Walker. I had what's his name, the new guy Rico, the young guy. I had Rico. I had Guardiola. I had like couple like three players like Haaland from Man City, and I was playing fantasy. So this week, Rico didn't play. So I feel like that's probably part of the reason they're gonna win the league because all of their players are Premier League ready and they're all ready to go. It's not like, oh, this guy's been sitting out for like 3 4 games and now he's gonna come like Jorginho for Arsenal this game week. He came in and it looked like he hasn't played Premier League for a while. So that is probably why he has the worst rating in out of 22 players. But anyways, I think Man City is ready to take the
Yeah.
title one more time. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's definitely your prediction is something we can reference close to the end of the season. Usman, thank you so much for joining. Absolute pleasure talking to you. Hopefully the results improve for Tottenham and Dominic Solanke starts firing. And yeah, hopefully the
Hopefully
results improve for
Liverpool,
Liverpool as well. Yeah,
Liverpool as
we
well.
stop taking
Yeah.
these punches in the gut. The Champions League is starting, Europa League is starting, so we're heading into Europe. So हम definitely उस्मान को दोबारा invite करेंगे. तो उस्मान, yes, I know it was hard for you after the result for Tottenham, but I really appreciate you
Yeah, bro. That's
being
why I didn't
strong
go into this
enough.
interview after what
Yeah,
happened.
I forced you into it. So thank you so much for joining. And in the comments, अपने questions share कीजिएगा, opinions share कीजिएगा, and me and Usman are going to get back to you. Have a wonderful day ahead, and thank you so much for joining. Bye bye.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye bye.